I'm not a youth at that point.
Well, my wife keeps saying, we only got 10, 12 years to go, you know. She says, you're a bundle of encouragement. I'm sorry, are we ready to go?
We are ready.
All right. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Village Planning Commission of Elmont for May 4th, 2023 to order, please. May I have a roll call?
Radecki,
Here?
Meek,
Here.
Kalka, Schneider,
Present.
Dyke, Zender.
Here. We have enough for a quorum.
Yes.
Very good. The next item is the approval of the agenda. As you can see, you have the agenda right in front of you. Unless there are any alterations, changes, or corrections, I would accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Whoever.
Yeah, Tim and
Yeah.
Steve were identical as the motions. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. In your packet is the minutes from the regular meeting of April 6th, 2023. As you can see, the major contributor was David last meeting. Those were great minutes. Thank you very much. We covered a lot that meeting. Unless there are any changes or alterations or corrections, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes.
I have a correction.
Correction? Okay.
Page 3, unfinished business, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs down. Manager Trend also explained that the new bakery deli is still, I believe the word's supposed to be being renovated.
Being.
Otherwise, I'd move to approve.
I think that's repeated again on the last one. It says close to be available to rent. Page 4, just above adjournment.
Oh, being
Yeah,
available
yep,
to
same-
rent, is
yeah,
that what
same
you're
thing.
saying? You see it, Kim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I have a second? Yeah, I'll support. Oh, you support? Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. We have no public comments this evening. We have no public hearing this evening. The next item on the agenda is new business, and that is the site plan review for 4625 Development Drive. We've been working on this for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, I think this is our third get together.
Yes, I think it is. You have in your packet a letter from Rowe Engineering outlining, I think the major item tonight is the parking space question. Is that one of the items that we have?
Yes, I don't know if you want to allow the applicant to comment first, or do you want me to read the letter for you?
It doesn't make any difference, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, sure. Greg Dennis, Midwest Commercial Construction, 115 East Capac Road, Emily City. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we met last in September, wasn't it, David? And really, we have a couple of outstanding items, one of which I believe approximately 8 to 9 months ago, we discussed the parking ordinance. And at that time, I put forth a request that this body would take a look at the existing ordinance at the time and consider some sort of 20% reduction, give or take, that this board could act upon. And you were kind enough to do that, and I believe that your local ordinance has been changed at this time, correct? So really, that's what we're here about tonight. What we have here in front of you, and I hope all of you have one or you can get to one, is what really was our original plan. Then to get to the parking requirement, we did kind of an odd bump out on the southeast end of the parking lot and added some parking spaces there. That was approved at the time. We waited for the parking ordinance to be changed, and we're just back here to ask for the deferment that we had discussed prior. The only other thing that has changed on the plan was I've had an opportunity to meet with Chief Smith on several occasions, once out at the site, and he's asked that we put in a private fire hydrant to extend his ability to fight a fire in this building. And so what that did was we just took the water main that was going to cross the road on the north side of the building, and we took that to the south side of the building, and we'll be running that water main. Again, we'll still be crossing the road. It's just in a different spot, approximately 120 feet to the south. So other than that, we've changed nothing. We're still curbing everything. There's no landscape changes. We're not going to change anything in stormwater. That's all staying the same. We're not minimizing it, even though we are reducing our impervious space. Because down the road, if we have a tenant or somebody buys that and they need more space, then we've already got the storm drainage set up for them to add another 6 to 8 parks. Alex, I know you and I discussed this briefly. Was there any other questions you had for me while
No,
I'm standing up?
I think my letter, and I'd be happy to go over, Chair, is that it appears to me that the applicant has satisfied all the requirements for this new zoning ordinance. So he's well within the reduction of parking, only at 17.5% as opposed to 20% maximum. He's leaving the same amount of landscaping requirements. The drainage is the same. Turn radius is the same. Stormwater calculation is the same. So, there's a legitimate request for standard A that, that perhaps parking is perhaps a little more, the reason for deferment is valid in the sense that perhaps there wouldn't be as much of an intense parking demand based on the prospective tenant that could be there. So if there is in the event that there's a need for more parking, everything on site is available for that to be expanded based on the original site plan. So I think it's pretty straightforward.
Alex, I know you picked this up, you weren't involved in this in September, were you?
No, I did. I was the one who did write your language for the zoning ordinance, so I'm kind of familiar with this.
I have a question without the parking. I kept chronology of the letters that were transmitted back and forth as they worked through the project. And on September 9th, there were a few items that were flagged. I just have a couple questions.
Sure.
And then I know on September 30th, there was an all clear written from you. It said everything had been met. I just want to make sure that, because there's a couple things, I have a couple questions if I could ask you. One of them is that additional engineering plans submitted, the applicant will need to indicate how the rest of the roof will drain and the proposed pipe material for the storm sewer. Has that all been done? How
Yeah.
the water is going to be drained?
I believe so. Is that?
Yeah, that's a single slope roof to the north.
Okay.
And then that goes right along the north side of the building and swales into the detention pond, which is right at the back of the building.
So that the applicant has been approved for the site plan. He's just coming back to amend the site plan. So what's in front of you is just a site plan amendment just for the parking deferment. Nothing else of the site's changing.
Okay, all right. Well, and the reason being is that because you weren't here then and Doug Skyless and Pickett were the ones that wrote, the clearing letter, I had flagged those just for my own benefit. I wanted to ask a couple questions just to make sure that we're all on the same page, the five of us, because obviously whatever is on paper is what is the only thing we can hold these gentlemen accountable to. And we want to make sure, I just wanted to make sure that, everything was covered according to the September 30th letter, which said it was. So, the couple other ones, I read through them and they seem to be okay. He's been reinforcing and adding information relative to, what's been going on. So that was my additional question. So, I would open up for discussion with the members if we want to consider his request for a reduction in the number of parking spaces. If there are any members with any comments?
Well, I think that we covered this topic rather thoroughly in terms of the wisdom of doing this and the manner in which employment and culture-wise have changed. And the applicant, I think, correctly states that they, because of what's anticipated in terms of the amount of actual parking spaces that would be needed, it's not even the full reduction of the parking spaces. I don't see any reason why we would not go forward. And I think that this plan had played a major role in the ordinance that we ended up adopting. So we thoroughly discussed that issue, addressed it, put on table, changed our ordinance, and this is in accordance with it. So I don't know why we wouldn't approve it. Yeah, yes. Right. Yeah. Well, he's prepared.
But correct me if I'm wrong, it still is at our discretion whether or not we approve it or not, correct?
Yes, it's at the plan commission's
Okay.
discretion.
So, even though it's there, it still, it gives us the latitude to say, yes or no. That's the only reason I asked that question.
The owner of the properties is only permitted, I mean, he doesn't have to reduce, he's permitted to ask for a
Right.
reduction.
Right.
So, and he's asking.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
Maybe I can get clarification on the drawings. Part of the ordinance was that they have to designate the specified area where those deferred parking spaces will go if they need to be utilized, and that should be designated on the site plan, correct?
Is it on the site plan, Alex?
He has on the original site plan that he submitted, which is now the amendment to the site plan. So that has been recorded in from your previous
So
meetings.
you're saying the original site plan had all six?
I don't believe that's correct.
Okay.
He submitted the original parking lot. Well, but we don't have, do we have documentation, new updated documentation that this is the new parking lot, this is the deferred area?
That's it right there. So that in the event that he would need to defer it, he would be striping all these spots and then creating that bump out here that he had originally on the site plan. So we're amending the site
I know
plan.
we're amending it, but is it documented in the amended site plan where where those designated areas are gonna be?
The plan commission can request that if they wish to have
I
that.
thought that was part of the ordinance.
Yeah. So to my understanding, that was in the original site plan a few months back, and now he's coming back for an amendment to it to be approved for that reduction.
I understand that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, once the reduction's approved.
Yeah.
That's gonna change, and part of the ordinance states that he's gotta designate the area where the, parking spaces that are the deferred parking spaces would be put. What you're saying is, oh, they'll go right there. Well, that's fine and dandy, but a planning commission 4 years from now might not know that if we don't have it documented on.
He could just submit that sheet that he had originally for that right, to the zoning administrator.
We'll make a change to this document. So
Yeah.
there's a new location of the water main on it, and we'll just dash that line out and say for future.
Right.
So it'll be on this set of
I'll
documents.
just resubmit this to David tomorrow.
Okay.
I see
Does
the
that mean,
engineer does
that mean
not
what
have
you're
it.
asking, Tim?
Yes.
What you want to see is,
The whole point of the ordinance
Right.
is we're reducing parking spaces, and when we're reducing parking spaces, the deferred spaces have to have a designated area to be.
should be shown.
Should be utilized and should be shown,
Gotcha.
and it's not being shown on this,
So if we approve, it should be conditioned upon.
conditioned upon that.
Yes. We just get the document that shows where they would be.
That's fine. The engineer just.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Tim's presentation is correct.
Yep. Any other questions from anybody? No? We need a motion to approve this site plan
Yes, you do.
with, now, how should we word this? Because,
Should it be a motion to amend the current site plan to defer the 17% of the spaces, contingent upon, the submittal of the amended site plan showing those designated areas
To the zoning administrator.
to the zoning?
Correct.
Tim, did you get all of that? Try and have him repeat it, would you?
You were
Try and
talking
have
to
him
me too
repeat
fast,
it.
I'm
That was
sorry.
very good, Tim. You must have practiced that all the way over here to get that one right.
Rewind the videos.
I got amend current
You're
site plan.
Make a motion that we amend the current site plan to defer the 17% parking spaces and also contingent upon the amended site plan being submitted with engineering drawings to confirm the site of the deferred spaces.
That's longer than the first one.
Does that sound okay?
Isn't it, it's supposed, I think it's supposed to show
You're right.
each
Yes.
deferred space, not just a general area,
Right,
but
yeah.
going,
Yes.
yeah. I'll support that.
All right. Did we get that, gentlemen?
Sorry. Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. All right, where's mine? All right, David, I have one question for you. I noticed in this paperwork, did we ever get a final report from the fire chief meeting all the requirements that he needs?
I have had a variety of conversations with Fire Chief Smith regarding this issue, and he has been in communication with the applicant, also their architect and engineer, and our folks at CCA, and he has given a green light to the project to proceed. Unfortunately, I don't have a written report from him, but he has indicated verbally to me on a number of occasions that everything that he's asked for from the applicant has been provided. And Mr. Chairman, if I may just take a moment,
Please.
as Mr. Dennis indicated, he first came before us back in September. And this is our first rodeo, if you will, at least since I've been the manager for development within our industrial district. And I can say wholeheartedly that Mr. Dennis has been nothing but a consummate gentleman and a professional. Everything that we've asked for, he has literally bent over backwards to comply with our request. And it's just been a pleasure working with him. And as we've gone through this process, knowing that he's got several additional lots that he's hoping to develop over the course of the next few years that will enhance our industrial district. We're using this as our learning curve to establish a better procedure so that going forward, there's less obstacles, better communication, a better checklist devised so that everybody knows where we are in the process. So, Greg, thank you so much for your professionalism in this process.
I would concur. I'm speaking for the committee. We have followed your process from, August to September and to now, and it's been easy to follow. The only reason sometimes I ask some questions is I don't quite find a communication that answers my question. But yeah, I would tend to agree. You've been over backwards to really make this work, so.
Thank you. I think that, I won't tell you it hasn't been difficult at times, David and I've spoken about that. But I think that we have a process now that is a whole lot better than when we started. And I think it's simultaneously you're transitioning to the CCA building group, correct? Didn't you have your own building department prior?
CCA has been our go-to people for the last few years, but this is the first big project that we've had that type of interface. So.
I think we've got those communication lines set up now, so it should pop going forward. In fact, we've got another plan that I was hoping to introduce to you tonight just for a looky-loo, but it didn't get over to me. So we'll be developing lot 12 next, which I may have sent it over to you, David. Now that building will be substantially smaller. What we're finding our market right now with inflation and rents raising the way they are, increasing the way they are, is probably a 12,000 square foot, give or take. But that next lot towards the south is set up pretty well for that. That's a lot that gets pretty low in one section. So we can keep a smaller building on the high ground there and still make it work. So we'll be in, I'm hoping, if not next month, the following month, to get that one going. And we should be in good shape.
Now, will you start construction pretty soon on this one then?
Yeah, if it quits raining, we're gonna, now that I was talking with David today, we did get to sign off from the chief. So I'm hoping to be able to pick up permits the first of next week.
Okay.
And as soon as it dries up enough, we'll be out there, we'll put our footings in and away we go. Because of the wet spring, I've got 3 of these buildings laying on the ground now since February.
Yeah.
And so I don't know when we'll get the steel going, but now that the sun's up, we should be in good shape.
Any of the members have any comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you for amending the ordinance. I think it was a wise thing to do, and I appreciate you taking it seriously and getting right after it.
Welcome. All right, let's move on to unfinished business. David, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, I'd just like to give a quick recap of some of the items I broached with you folks last month.
Okay.
As I indicated regarding the salary building, we have not heard anything over and above what I shared with you last month, which is not surprising to me. It appeared that it might be summertime before we actually see some final site plans submitted by the applicant on that project. So that's kind of been a hold pattern at this juncture.
Has the formal purchase been done?
Oh, yes.
It has been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Regarding the building just to the north of the Saddlery, the old Tri-City Plumbing, there was a moving truck that was behind the building that has been moved by the ownership, which was something I had asked them to do. But I have not received any further update on any plans to, rent it out to any parties at this juncture. Yes. And I had mentioned that there's a relative to the ownership of that building that has some restaurant business that had some strong interest in possibly pursuing the Huddle. Unfortunately, I have no other update on that project here since last month, though I've reached out to that person to try to get an update to see if there's anything in the works, but nothing at this point.
I'll hire a private investigator.
Is Dr. Barkham any closer to moving in?
Thank you. That's the next one heading south, the PNC Bank. I shared with you that he was waiting for contractors to show up to put in the flooring. That has been accomplished, but because of the delay in getting that done, now the carpenters are waiting to come back and finish the carpentry work. So there's still some items that are on the front porch that I asked to be stored inside since the flooring's been done. I was told that was going to happen today. Unfortunately, as of 5:30 this afternoon, it's still out there on the front porch, but the request has been made, and we'll try to get the front portion of the building looking a little nicer without some of the materials laying there on the front porch. Going even further south, there's a piece of paper that you should see at your desk. Let's have a cup of coffee and talk about it. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. The folks at Good Grounds are planning on having a soft opening in 2 weeks over Mother's Day weekend. And we've been approached about a request that they've asked for putting in some fencing in the alleyway that is property that they own on the north side of the building, where they can put in some patio chairs and tables to accommodate more seating capacity, which is a great idea, especially during nicer weather. And so I asked for some sort of sketch and some sort of identification of what type of fencing are we talking about. So they want to put in a 3-foot high fence that would go the length of the building, exit out the side door. And I just want to review their concept to make sure that there's adequate pedestrian space for people to move along outside of the fence area. So according to our ordinance, this doesn't look like it's something that requires planning commission approval. It's more in the realm of the zoning administrator to review fencing requests, whether it's residential or commercial. But I thought you folks should at least be aware of what they're planning on doing so that you're not taken by surprise by some of the alterations that are taking place there this month.
For commercial buildings, I don't remember, does our zoning specify a certain height of a fence?
Uh,
I don't remember offhand.
I don't know that there's a height requirement for commercial, but in light of the downtown district, when you look at what other communities have done, especially during COVID, 3-foot high barrier, whether it's a fence or some plants or things that are, can be mobile, is an adequate size as far as a barrier. I just want to make sure that there's adequate space for pedestrian walk by. And so they're planning a soft opening later in the month, and they plan to be fully open by the end of May. So that's a good step forward for them. And on a frosting on the cake note, I received a phone call this morning from the prospective purchaser of the movie theater and the medical building, and they were signing on the dotted line today.
No kidding.
And so
What are they proposing to put in there?
they're going to do a complete remodel of the medical building, put in a new pitched roof, do some obviously facade work on the exterior, remodel the inside, and make it more attractive, if you will, for new tenants over and above the current tenant that's there. And as far as the movie theater, their original game plan was to try to have some sort of restaurant, not a high-end restaurant, but something that's a little higher end than what we currently have in our community. And as they've been brainstorming that, and because of some of the issues that we see in the restaurant business where staffing is difficult to maintain, et cetera, they're actually looking at doing what you might call an Andiamo's showcase miniature version, where if you've been to Warren on 14 Mile Road, Andiamo's has a showroom there with so different high noticed acts that come in. They're planning on having an entertainment venue and basically allow the restaurants that currently exist in our community to benefit from people that come to our town to see those acts, where they would eat and drink at our current local eateries. And that might open up the opportunity for another restaurant to, come to town, or, somebody that would say, hey, now it's time to jump on the huddle and get that up and running again. So that's kind of their initial game plan. We'll see if that changes over the course of time, if they, do try to provide some sort of food as an option. But right now they're planning on doing a complete makeover of the building and turn it into some sort of entertainment venue.
It's going to be a tear down,
No,
not a redo.
Rehab. And they hope to be able to come to the village council for some sort of tax abatement consideration, similar to what occurred with the west side of the street.
We'll follow that up with an employee or agent of the purchaser was in our building today. He didn't want a divorce or anything, but he did want to look around, and we facilitated that for him. So that kind of follows up what you're indicating. And so the closing actually has taken place. So
I was told at 8:00 this morning that they were signing on the dotted line today. So another step forward toward the revitalization of the east side of M53 in the heart of our downtown.
Did you say it was actually an Andiamo's type, or it's actually Andiamo's?
Actually, he has a working relationship with the owner of Andiamo's,
okay.
and that's where they came up with the brainstorm of,
Okay.
when Mr. Vicari brings these acts into his Warren location, that, some of them that, let's say, maybe not as well known nationally, that he could then direct them over to Almont for additional dates. So that's part of the plan. We'll just have to wait and see what kind of drawings come our way, and how many people they can actually seat in that 5,000 square foot facility.
Anything else for us, David?
Not today.
Kim, do you have anything for us?
Sure.
Any of the members have anything?
what picture is just painted by our manager, village manager, certainly sounds like it's going to be of significant benefit to the east side of Main Street, what happened on the west side of Main Street. So that's a real plus.
Yeah.
Happy to hear it. And
Of course, if that was to happen, the question will be then, do we have enough parking within the village?
I'll just say this, having worked in Oakland County for a number of years and worked with downtowns, if you have a parking problem, you have a good problem.
That's a good problem.
That's a good problem.
I'll take your word for it then.
Yeah.
That's good.
No one comes to see your parking lots. How's
That's
that?
true.
Yeah. But your parking lots are the first thing they see and the last thing they see too. So it's kind of a catch.
And it's usually the thing that sticks in their mind if they can't find a place to park, sometimes. But hey, if it's a good problem, it's a good
They
problem.
drive around and they see other locations. They go, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
well, except for Friday nights, which is beer night.
Yeah.
When the lot's completely full.
It is. Yeah.
Otherwise, between the two buildings, behind the theater building, behind our building was a problem at one point, which we discussed with the purchaser and pointing out those spots that were in litigation. DDA won that lawsuit, and the fact that the previous antagonist, fellow litigant, now no longer has an interest because that had the potential for being very antagonistic. That's resolved. So the parking right behind the medical building as well, plus all the rest of the parking lots. Yeah, except for beer nights. Like otherwise, I think there'd be enough. Pardon? Yeah. Right.
We get that many cars and you will have a traffic jam. All right, if there's nothing else from anybody, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion here. I have a support. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. We are done.
I just know.